हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कार। वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल एंड इट्स टाइम फॉर AFC Women's Asian Cup 2026, which is kicking from tomorrow, 1st of March in Australia. And this is a really big moment for our Indian women's team to create history. There is an opportunity. We will talk about that, all of that scenario of World Cup and everything, and what are the challenges. So first of all, sir, it's a big occasion for our women's team. जो हमारे मेंस प्लेयर करने में नाकामयाब रहे, बट हमारी वुमेन्स टीम ने मेरिट बेसिस पे वुमेन्स एशियन कप क्वालिफाई किया है. सो हाउ डू यू सी दिस as an opportunity for our women's team and overall Indian football?
Eden, thank you for having me and good to interact with you all. It's a massive opportunity for women's football in India. It is a massive opportunity for Indian football. I don't know how much impact it in the end will have. We're talking a lot about it. You and I have spoken about it a lot, but I don't see that the general sports interested public is really following this. Unlike, for example, when the women's cricket team has been successful in the recent past. There's been a lot of hype in India. That is sad to see on one side. But on the other side, there is this opportunity to say, you know what, if the women's team hold themselves in this tournament, somehow cause one upset, you could at least get close to a women's World Cup. Right. So that is something which plays at the back of the mind. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
But before we moving on to the India's matches and everything, the chances of World Cup qualification, the thing is, sir, as you mentioned, the sad part is कि the general public or the general fans don't know कि भाई इस वुमेन्स एशियन कप में हमारे पास क्या अपॉर्चुनिटी है. आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं यहाँ पे जो इंडियन फुटबॉल स्टेक होल्डर से वो कम्युनिकेट करने में मेरे को लगता है कि फेल रहे हैं कि कितना इंपॉर्टेंस है इस टूर्नामेंट का इन टर्म्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफिकेशन. एंड पहली बार हमारी जो वुमेन्स टीम है वो क्या नजदीक पहुंचे है टू वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफिकेशन सिनारियो. एटलीस्ट इन डिस्कशन हम यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं, अदरवाइज वो डिस्कशन भी नहीं होता था. तो वो आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं एक आई वुड से कि यहाँ पे शेर पार्ट है कि जब आपके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी थी इस तरह की, जैसे आपने बोला कि वुमेन्स क्रिकेट टीम को यहाँ पे जिस तरह से उन्होंने यहाँ पे मार्केटाइज किया या फिर जिस तरह से लोगों तक स्टोरी पहुंचाई, उस तरह से आई थिंक अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारी जो वुमेन्स फुटबॉल टीम है उनकी स्टोरी कई सारे लोगों तक नहीं पहुंची है. दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक पीपल का जो इंटरेस्ट है या फिर जो अवेयरनेस है इस पूरे टूर्नामेंट के बारे में वो शायद उतना नहीं है. मे बी स्लोली स्लोली जैसे यहाँ पे टूर्नामेंट आगे बढ़ेगा और अगर इंडिया कुछ ऐसा हिस्टोरिकल अचीव करता है देन पीपल विल अवेयर अबाउट इट. बट उससे पहले यहाँ पे हमारी टीम को सपोर्ट मिलना चाहिए था. तो दैट इज द होल सिनेरियो.
This tournament could be the Chak De moment for Indian football, right? So to put to just reiterate the point that you have mentioned, this could be the biggest moment for Indian football. But sadly, we as football fans bother about it. We as football fans care about it. There are certain people who you and I also follow on social medias who support and promote women's football who are looking into it. But otherwise, not much. And I hope, again, the tournament starts now, but India's playing first on the 4th. I hope that there will be a little bit more interest to come.
Now moving on to the tournament. So India has a very interesting group: Japan, Vietnam, and Chinese Taipei. And for India to get into the knockout, either they have to finish in top two or they have to finish as the third second best team in the group. But बाकी groups देखे उससे पहले सर, जापान as we all know कि one of the contender for the tournament, so it's difficult to beat them. But Vietnam and recent में preparation रही है, and the coach like Emilia Valverde, who has experience to manage in this kind of a global tournament. So how it's gonna be crucial against Vietnam and Chinese Taipei, because I think Japan match is separate one, वहाँ पे ज़्यादा realistically chance नहीं है. But I think Vietnam and Chinese Taipei matches we can definitely target to grind the result.
We can only target those two matches. No? Talking about Japan and India in one breath in women's football, I think is unfair on our women and is disrespectful to the Japanese player because you see if where the Japanese players are playing, in the biggest clubs in Europe. For us, I hope Amelia Valverde has instilled some sort of level of confidence, of trust in their own capabilities, that our team is not overawed by the occasion. It's not scared to go into those matches and are ready to continue to play even if they make mistakes. I think that is the biggest thing, that you will make mistakes and you have to ensure you don't concede of those mistakes. And then also try and create your own opportunities. How much has Manisha in the last few weeks matured in Peru? That will be a big factor. So these are things which I think are very, very important to look at, is how is our defensive shape? How is our defense? How is our defensive midfield? How is our goalkeeper or goalkeepers, whoever are playing, and then try to get the best possible result.
The other thing is, sir, ki we have seen in the past in this kind of a Asian Cup or a World Cup event कि जब एक क्वालिटी वाइज मे बी अ लेसर क्वालिटी टीम जब हायर क्वालिटी टीम को फेस करती है और उसमें जब उन्होंने यहाँ पे सरप्राइज किया है सामने वाली टीम को या फिर रिजल्ट ग्राइंड किया है, तो आई थिंक एक चीज जो कॉमन दिखी है उन उन सारे मैचेस में, अगर आप वर्ल्ड कप की हिस्ट्री में भी देखें या फिर इवन एशियन कप में भी देखें इस तरह के सिनारियोस, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं जो लेसर क्वालिटी टीम होती है ना, उसमें वो हंगरनेस, फाइटिंग स्पिरिट एंड आई थिंक जो मोमेंट्स है वो अगर वो कैप्चर कर पाते हैं, डेफिनेटली देन यू हैव ए रियलिस्टिक चांस टू एबल टू क्रिएट दैट काइंड ऑफ ए रिजल्ट जो कि आपके फेवर में आए. सो आई थिंक दैट इज गोना बी वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर दिस टीम टू ग्रैब दोस मोमेंट, बिकॉज यहाँ पे द मार्जिन ऑफ एरर इज गोना बी रियली रियली आई वुड से कि ऑलमोस्ट जीरो. यहाँ पे अगर आपने गलतियां की, यू हैव टू पे द हैवी प्राइस, और यू कैन से कि जो आपने हार्डवर्क किया है उसके ऊपर आप बिल्कुल यहाँ पे आई वुड से कि पानी फेर सकते हो. तो फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द यू मेंशन अबाउट द मनीषा कल्याण, डेफिनेटली सी इज गोना बी दी आवर की प्लेयर, बट उसके साथ ही आई थिंक अविका सिंह जो कि भी डेनिश सेकंड डिवीजन में रेगुलरली
Hmm.
खेल रही थी, तो आई थिंक उसका भी जो एक्सपीरियंस है मे बी दैट विल डेफिनेटली प्ले अ क्रूशियल रोल. एंड रिसेंटली जो प्रैक्टिस मैच खेले हैं उसमें एमिलिया वाल्वर्दे ने उनको रेगुलर खिलाया है. देन आई थिंक बाकी जो हमारे एक्सपीरियंस प्लेयर है फ्रंट लाइन में, आप देखिए सौम्या गोगुलोथ हो गई, मिडफील्ड में आई थिंक संगीता बेस्फोर ने जिस तरह से क्वालिफायर्स में खेला था, इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, या फिर बैकलाइन में आपकी सिल्की देवी, स्वीटी देवी. सो हाउ डू यू सी द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ टीम एट द मोमेंट जो अनाउंस की गई है, which has that potential to challenge this kind of you can say कि, matches.
I think one thing has to be said, that we lost Anjuta Mang due to injury, so that has weakened the team. It is a very
Hmm.
young team overall, right? There were only three players aged 30 in the squad. There are no seasoned players. There is no Baladevi or some others to fall back on. So that was a little bit of a surprise to me. That Crispin, even in the qualifiers, was actually using a very young team, with Panthoy and Grace Dangmai being the only ones left who are 30 years old, and everybody else is younger. Um, that is one thing. You've mentioned the names. I think that if I look at, yes, Sweetie, if I look at Shilki at the back, Sangeeta hopefully can play that role she played in the qualifiers, because she was very, very crucial. As I mentioned, Manisha will be very, very important. What can Manisha Kalyan do? Manisha Kalyan is our best player. Uh, Interesting to see who we play up front. Do we play Grace? Do we play Pyari? How do we use Somya? We have options, right? We have options. And the question is, Madame Valverde, who does she think is capable of playing at this level and is capable of delivering results, because this is a level of competition which we normally don't face. I think we're a little unlucky with the draw, because we start with Vietnam, then face Japan, and then face Chinese Taipei. I would have preferred to face Chinese Taipei, Vietnam, and then Japan. But again, we are placed third in the group, so therefore you can't, can't choose who you want to play. And that Vietnam game most probably will decide of where the journey goes. Vietnam is a team which, on their day, can beat us 4-5-0. On a good day, we might be able to maybe upset them. So therefore, that's the variant that we are within. And if we go on, Japan, yeah, if we can keep it single digit loss, I think I would be happy, to be very honest. I always have this at the back of my mind. Odisha FC versus Urawa Red Diamonds Women, 0-17. And then there is the Chinese Taipei match. And then the question is, what did we do in the first two matches to be able to get a result in the third game? Because even if we lose against Vietnam, if we can get a result against Chinese Taipei somehow, and we can somehow sneak into the top eight, then already we are at least in the intercontinental qualifiers. So that is that where it is. As I always like to say, I am expecting nothing, but I'm hoping for maximum success. So let's wait and see what the girls can do.
अबाउट द पॉसिबल वर्ल्ड कप सिनेरियो, जैसे आपने बोला कि आप वैसे एक्सपेक्टेशन कुछ नहीं रख रहे, लेकिन लेट्स होप फॉर द मैक्सिमम. सो अगर आप इंडिया का सिनेरियो देखें, वियतनाम, जापान एंड चाइनीज ताइपे, अगर हम बाकी ग्रुप्स देखें तो आई थिंक अगर आप उस ड्रॉ के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखें तो थोड़े से हम ये लकी रहे जरूर है कि अगर आप देखिए ग्रुप ए, देयर इज ऑस्ट्रेलिया, साउथ कोरिया, फिलीपींस, ईरान. सो आई थिंक उसके कंपैरिजन में हमें यहाँ पे जो जापान से सेकंड जो टीम मिली है वो रिलेटिवली बाकी दो ग्रुप से यहाँ पे आई वुड से कि थोड़ा सा क्वालिटी वाइज लेस मिली है, क्योंकि ग्रुप बी में भी आप देखिए नॉर्थ कोरिया, चाइना इज टॉप नॉच क्वालिटी, एंड देन दे हैव ए बांग्लादेश एंड उज्बेकिस्तान. तो उसके कंपैरिजन में वी वर लिटिल बिट लकी कि यहाँ पे पॉसिबली अगर हम मान कि वियतनाम के सामने हमने रिजल्ट गाइन कर दिया, इवन ड्रॉ, देन वी माइट हैव ए चांस टू इवन फिनिश ऑन सेकंड. बट अगर सेकंड पे फिनिश हम नहीं करते एंड थर्ड पे अगर फिनिश करते, तब भी मेरे को लगता है कि ग्रुप ए एंड ग्रुप बी में से यहाँ पे जो वहां पे टीमें है, तीन तीन टीमें ऐसी है कि जिससे वहां पे जो थर्ड प्लेस टीमें होगी उससे हम बेटर यहाँ पे आई वुड से कि जीडी वाइज या फिर पॉइंट वाइज फिनिश कर सकते हैं. सो आई थिंक दैट इज द रियलिस्टिक सिनेरियो फॉर अस to get into the knockout. What do you think about that thing?
I agree with you. I mean, if I look at Group B, North Korea, China, Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, North Korea and China for Bangladesh and Uzbekistan will be two demolition matches, right? Not one, two. So that is one. Group A, I don't fully agree. I don't know if Australia and South Korea will really score that many goals. So that's going to be and Iran, Philippines, despite being the weakest, they've already played a World Cup. So I do rate Philippines quite a bit because they get a lot of players from the US. Um, I'm interested to see also what our neighbors do in Bangladesh in this tournament, right? They have been better than us. Uzbekistan is a team that we have beaten. So Bangladesh has actually realistic chances to finish third. So for us, as we've said, no, your first match against Vietnam is crucial. Japan, I'm not counting in. Japan is going to be to try and not lose too heavily. And the question is, in what mood are the Japanese, right? And if they get into the mood of scoring, I don't even want to talk about it. Then 20-0 is even possible, right? So that is, you know, that is my concern. Chinese Taipei will be a team where I would hope we can do something, but I need to also remember if I'm looking at Chinese Taipei, I'm looking at a team of decently experienced players. Some of them actually played in China, so it's not an easy one. And the question is, in what state are we in ourselves? That is the big question, because yes, we've trained in Turkey. Now we're training in Perth, but we've not had a friendly against a national team in a while. So I don't know where we actually factually stand. So therefore, that will be interesting to see where do we stand going into this tournament. And yeah, the Vietnam match might decide our journey for the rest of the tournament.
So moving on to the last part, and that is prediction. So as we all know, the whole scenario of this Women's Asian Cup and the challenges. What's your you can say the prediction for India's chances to go into the knockout, or where they can finish?
Even as we're speaking about, the spectrum is very big. It's large, right? Worst case, we lose all three matches. That is possible. Best case, I beat Chinese Taipei and I draw Vietnam. That's the best case. Take the Japan match out, because if I have 4 points, I think I will qualify for the knockouts. So that would be my sort of approach to this. And therefore, the first match is very, very crucial. Very, very crucial. And I hope this team has learned a lot of things. The point is, if I look at the team, there are certain players who have actually not played an official friendly for India. They've only played these club friendlies. So that will be a real test. There are some girls who've played the under 17 Women's World Cup. So that is, I would say, is a bonus. So I hope and I wish our women all the best.
I agree, sir. I agree with you. The 4 point will be good enough, and I think India should target that Chinese Taipei match to get the all 3 point, and Vietnam match as most we can say ki, preferable result would be a draw. That would be in a, you can say ki, favor for us. So that's it from our side, dosto. Let hope Indian women's team create history, and in this dark phase of Indian football, let hope so there is a ray of hope from the women's team. Men's team unable to do it, but I think there is a high expectation from the women's team to deliver and create a history. So best of luck to our women's team for this AFC Women's Asian Cup, and let hope we get the best outcome from this tournament. Let me know guys, आपका क्या prediction है about the women's team? Comment section में जरूर बताइएगा. And don't forget to check out Arun Foot and Curious Seri for this kind of interesting conversation. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.